Welcome, everyone. I'm joined today by Konstantin Saroyan, Secretary General at the Federation of Euro-Asian Stock Exchanges, an Armenia-based organization working to develop capital markets across more than 30 countries in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Konstantin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for inviting.
Absolutely. What else can you tell us about the Federation and the work that you and your team do?
Yeah, so I'm really excited every time to talk about Federation and our function. Briefly, our mission is to support development of capital markets of our members. So the Federation unites members, those are related to the capital market in many countries, as you mentioned, it's 30 plus, and those are exchanges, central security depositories, development agencies, development banks like EBRD, and other organizations. Also, recently, we see the interest from the technological companies who has some products developed for the capital markets, also joining the Federation. So, I would say that current geography of the Federation covers from Canada to Sydney. Actually, well, Canada and Sydney, those are not in a Euro-Asian kind of region, but the board and the members has been glad to also accept those members to join our federation. But basically, it's focused on the Europe, Asia, and Mediterranean basin, where we have, for example, Egypt, which is not, again, it's part of Africa, but it's there. And and there is a misunderstanding when I'm saying that it's a Euro-Asian stock exchanges. Everybody thinks about this Euro-Asian Union and post-Soviet Union countries, but that's not correct. It's geographical Europe and Asia.
And could you just give us an example of what kind of support you provide?
Yeah. So we have several directions for supporting our members. One is exchange of knowledge. So we have comparably big exchanges, medium ones and small ones. And the level of knowledge of how to develop the capital market, of course, differ. Big exchanges, they have capacity to have their research units who are working on development of new products and developing of the capital market. And the small ones, they do not have that opportunities. So that's why for them, joining the Federation is first of all exchanging of knowledge, how to develop the capital market in particular country. So another thing is research capacity. So we are focusing on some researches which are in demand from our members. So we are collecting the requests from our members, what they would like to be researched by the Federation. And we are organizing, partially by our own resources, or we are outsourcing some of the research capacities and services. That's the second direction. Another direction is, of course, networking. And we are organizing events and we are organizing webinars. That's part of the training. But when it comes to the networking, it's about organizing events. And taking this chance, I would like to also announce that June this year, we're going to have, first time in Armenia, we're going to have our annual conference, which named ConfEAS. That will be in June, and we'll get together for the capital market professionals. That's a C-level conference, gathering stock exchange executives, CSDs, etc., and all the companies related to capital market, not particularly in Armenia, but in our region. As I said, so we are organizing webinars, trainings, both on-site and online, workshops, etc. The main function and the main goal of those meetings is to, again, exchange of knowledge, sharing the information, and increasing the capacity for the development of the capital markets in particular countries.
That's all great. I wanted to also ask specifically about the Armenia Securities Exchange, which is Armenia's sole stock exchange. It's a member of the Federation, and also I understand you served as CEO of the stock exchange from 2011 to 2017, so I'm really interested in your insights here. In 2020, the Warsaw Stock Exchange acquired a majority interest in the exchange from Armenia Central Bank. And since then, there appear to have been few major developments, at least publicly, that we've been led on to know. So I'm wondering, in your view, why have Armenia's capital markets been so slow to develop?
That's a really good question and really challenging, because when I've been CEO of NASDAQ Armenia, so those times NASDAQ has been owned the stock exchange.
The previous name of the stock exchange.
The previous name, yeah. Now it's Armenian Exchange, right? AMX. And we have been actually working, thinking, discussing how to develop capital market more rapidly compared to how it was. Even taking into account that NASDAQ has been supporting us in this regard. But still, the point is for any development, for any capital market development in any country, is based on the success should be based on the economy and on the companies, prospects who will be able to issue shares or bond securities. And on the other side, that's a demand side, which is investors. And basically we understand that retail investors' capacity in Armenia is not so big, but it is enough to develop. The point is that our financial system, Armenian financial system, is bank-oriented. There are positive and negative factors in that. So we have a mega regulator who regulates the entire financial system, including this capital market and also banking system. That's good. So it makes you can focus the capacity on the particular sector to be developed, which is in priority, for example, for development. And yeah, that's good thing. Bad thing, or a kind of a negative, let's call that way, that there is a conflict of interest. Because, so you have a source of money, and let's take retail investors. So what are they doing currently? So they are taking their money to the banks, because for them, they understand that the banks are accepting free money and paying for that interest. So for their understanding, the first option is going to banks. Because for the capital market, they do not have probably enough financial literacy to understand how to do that, what to do that, where to invest, etc., all this kind of stuff. So there are a lack of information and lack of knowledge. So they're putting that, they're taking their money to the bank. And then, as our system, financial system, is bank-oriented, and the banks are allowed to also be participants on the capital market. So banks could be, and it's supposed to be that, they should be channels for taking that money and investing in the economy. On their side, coming back to the conflict of interest, on their side, when their client is bringing money, they have again two options. Either to advise them, let's say, to redirect those money and invest that through the capital market in a particular company's corporates. And another channel is to attract that and accept that as a deposit, and then to invest that through loans. As the margin investing and financing the system, real sector, through loans for the banks is higher than for the, for example, for redirecting to capital market. So they obviously choose the first option, and they are trying to attract that money and finance through the loans. But in order to overcome this conflict of interest and to change the behavior of the banks, central banks several years ago, they have adopted new prudential standards where they have been stimulating the banks to attract those money and not through the deposits, but through bonds. So if the bank wants to attract that money, so they can issue bonds, and they're attracting. They have, let's say, less prudential standards, and those are more favorable for them. So that's why they are trying to switch deposit holders to bond holders. This is the first step. This can bring to the change of the behavior of the investor. So when they will understand how to invest into securities, so then, and of course at that point, in the bank bonds, the next step will be investing in the corporate bonds, and then shares, etc., and then structured, etc., etc.
So I also wanted to ask about IPOs, since as far as I'm aware, no major Armenian company has ever made an initial public offering of shares. First, does that match your understanding of the situation? And second, what work still needs to be done to prepare Armenian companies to go public?
Well, it's first of all, it's an issue of scale, because and that's not related to whether Armenian company can attract additional funding through the capital market abroad, for example, in London. They can. The problem is how to utilize that money, what to do, because it's not make sense, let's say, to go abroad and to attract 100 million. That's peanuts for their capital markets, and the costs of that issue will be significantly higher than attracting that through other channels. So in that case, you should attract at least starting from 1 billion. So when it comes to 1 billion, what a single company based in Armenia and operating in Armenia will do with that 1 billion. So either it should be some kind of infrastructural project, or it should be a kind of activity mainly focused on the foreign trade or foreign markets, and not on Armenian ones. So the basic issue and the main issue is the scale.
And I think there's also maybe room here to talk about corporate governance, which I understand is another area that you're deeply involved in here in Armenia. What can you tell us about the current state of corporate governance here, and in your view, what changes are needed?
Yeah, that's a good question. My favorite one. I mean, when there are talks about corporate governance, so I'm in.
That's great.
So I've been a chairman of the Institute of Directors in Armenia, and now I'm a board member there. So I have also accomplished INSEAD International Directors Program, and I'm certified international director actually. So that's why I like to talk about corporate governance. So the situation regarding corporate governance in Armenia is not unique. I mean, we can see that in many countries, not even post-Soviet Union countries, but even in Eastern Europe countries, Middle East, etc. So it is the same, and that's again coming from the behavior and mindset of the people, because taking decision collectively, it's quite challenging. You should be trained for that. It's not only about gathering together, let's say, around one round table and taking the decision. It's about perception and understanding the role of each decision taker. So the main problem with the corporate governance in Armenia is not about the legal framework. It's about people who are occupying authorized positions. For example, let's take the board. So usually, when we are talking with corporates or even with banks about how they see the board itself. So of course they have instructions. They are replicating what is written in the law and or in other legal documents, and saying that we should have a board. The board should consist of 5 people, etc., etc. The functions of the board member is this, the chairman is this. But the understanding of what is the board, I would not say I haven't seen, but I've seen very few, very close to the best international practice. But that's several ones probably. And the problem there is the following, is understanding of the role of the chairman. That's the crucial challenge and the crucial issue. Because in many boards and many people, even in the banks, they think that chairman is decision maker, an ultimate decision maker. Especially if the chairman is also, chairman function coincide with the function of the main shareholder. So the people sitting around the board, around the table in the board, they think that the decision should be taken by the chairman. So they are missing that understanding that the board is decision taker, not the chairman. And when the decision is taken collectively and with diverse opinions, that is the best decision which could be taken in that particular situation. And what we see usually, there is an item in a board agenda, let's say, to be discussed. There is the majority, 70% silence. So those are silent board members who are just signing what the chairman would say. The other 30, they are mostly listening, but trying to indicate some problem, but they are not insisting on their opinion. And this brings to the point that chairman is taking the decision. So the board is signing, it considered to be accepted by the board, but when those people, that people are going out of the boardroom, they're thinking, I have not been agreed with that. So that's the biggest issue. And that comes, as I said, from understanding what is the role of a particular board member and the role of the board.
And what do you think can be done in Armenia to change this mentality? Is it more international experience and exposure? Is it concerted training efforts of some kind? How do you see this moving forward?
Yeah, that's again a good question, what to do. Of course, as you said, so first of all, exchange of knowledge. It's trainings, some kind of webinars, seminars, workshops, etc., which should be done locally. Another problem here also, that's what we see, that Armenians usually are more interested in this kind of events if that is taken by some foreigner. So for them, anyone who is working in Armenia hasn't had enough experience or knowledge to listen to. That's also a problem, because as you see, and that's not particularly even regarding corporate governance, it's in general. So if someone is coming from abroad and telling us, oh, you should do this, so yeah, they can accept that. But when some Armenian is trying to share the same knowledge or even more, so that's not reputable enough. Of course, trainings, and which is more important, I think, having the education or having this exchange of experience with more diverse circle of colleagues, not even in Armenia, abroad as well, in order to see how they work. What was good in INSEAD, there have been people from different companies and holding board member position in different companies. And when I was there and I've been seeing how they are acting around the table during a simulation of the board, that was really interesting, because through that, I understood what is the role of the board, what is the role of the chairman, let's say, how the chairman should act, react, and to motivate others to express their opinion and to insist on their opinion, and then bringing to the table that version to be discussed. Yes, you're right. Knowledge, training, and exchange of experience, and probably some board simulations. It's good that Armenians are working and working abroad and holding some board positions abroad. That's a good thing. Another thing is bringing diversity to the boardroom. Because usually, so I've been an expert in a working group for revising the corporate governance code in Armenia, and one of the points which we have been insisting on and trying to push is diversity. Of course, when we are talking about diversity, people are thinking it's about gender diversity, bringing more women, let's say, in the board. That's true. That's one story. But when we are talking about gender diversity, it's not only about male, female. It's also about some kind of age diversity, culture diversity, and also professional diversity. There is a misunderstanding of, for example, that in the board of banks, there should be only bankers. That's mistake. I mean, why only bankers should be in the board of banks? What about, let's say, IT guys? You can have an IT guy in the board of a bank, especially when we are taking the recent development of the banking sector. It's more focused on the digital banking, right? And having only, for example, lawyers and economists there will not bring enough diversity to what we should do from the strategic point of view. So diversity should be also implemented and should be focused on for any company. Besides banking system being a kind of dominating in the financial sector, the main issue and challenge in Armenia also having these projects and changing also behavior and mindset of the corporates to look into the capital market, because some of them, they are looking at the capital market from the perspective of attracting money, and that's it. And when you are trying to compare attracting money through capital market or through banking loan, so when it comes to the matter of scale, you of course choose, I better take a loan. But capital market and attracting that being issuer, is bringing more value through changing your understanding of how the company should work. It changes also your behavior of dealing with clients, with your suppliers, with the stakeholders in a broader understanding, clients as well, and also your staff. And that will bring more value to the company. Probably it could be costly on the first stage, but the company will benefit definitely on a longer run. And I think for the development of the capital market in Armenia, particularly, besides having some incentives, tax regulation, etc., but a proper publicity work should be done in order for the people to be familiar, both on the demand side and supply side, to be familiar with what is capital market, how it works, and then to support them with their first steps. So, for example, through the federation, we have issued already there is a second issue of the comics book. So we have developed that and published that in order to explain to the broader kind of audience what is the capital market and what is the processes of the capital. By the way, it's very interesting. You can just go to our website and take a look at that. It has been published already in 8 languages.
That's great.
It's really international and it's multicultural. You will notice that. That's a great example. What kind of steps should be taken in order to develop capital markets in particular countries.
Well, I'll be sure to check that out, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers will too. So, Konstantin, thank you again very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.